what is more powerful than landing a shot on somebody when they're stationary? Obviously landing as they're moving into it. That is going to increase your power dramatically. Today we're talking about 5 different ways, 5 different tricks that you can utilize to draw somebody into your attack. Let me begin this episode by reminding you guys that there are a variety of skill levels on this channel. I have people who message me who said, I started this week. And I have people who message me who've said, Gabriel, I've been doing this for 20 years. We have a lot of diversity in skill levels. If you're somebody who is very high level, you might finish this episode and go, I knew all that. And this is not made for you. This is made for people who are up and coming, probably been training for about 3 years and want to learn some little tricks. But still, you might want to stick around and just check and make sure that you know all of these little setups. So the very first way that I like to utilize a technique to lead somebody to fall in to my actual attack is taking a hook. When I throw my hook, if I just kind of hit, there's going to be a dramatic amount of impact, KO impact, but it's not necessarily going to move the person. It's not going to shift them. If I hit and then give a little push, then you end up having somebody, instead of being able to stand in place, they end up actually having to shift their foot. And very often when I throw something and I'm setting up, I will come with the palm. I'll slap and then I'll angle and push. And then from there we have the person stepping, which sets you up perfectly to throw a kick off the right leg. You could go down low. You could go up high. The middle to me doesn't make too much sense because the areas that are really going to hurt somebody are landing the headshot, which will equal a KO, or coming down to their leg, which just planted all the weight on top of it and is super exposed. So very often I like to come from outside, I'll look for them, I'm going, okay, they have their hands planted really high, and then I'll hit, I'll push, and then I'll fire my kick. Or if I see them with a tight guard, I might throw a combo, hit, push, and then come high. And they're gonna move right into my technique, which is gonna make it that much worse for them. Another way that you can set up somebody running right into your technique is by backing up very quickly. But as you back up, start setting up your spinning sidekick. A spinning sidekick is much harder to throw from this position because the rotation is that much more, as opposed to getting to the side stance where the rotation is very fast and I feel quite balanced. So if I'm backing up, I can start going to that side stance so I can blast that sidekick in so easy. If you have somebody who's quite aggressive, who likes to run you down, or you just want to play possum for a moment, you can get to your stance and just start shuffling back. And most likely when you start doing that, people naturally follow you. They don't stand there and go, what are you moving back for? They go, oh, he's backing up. Okay, I'm going to start moving forward. And when they decide to actually pull the trigger and start blasting off shots, you've got yourself into that position where you can go, okay, I'm going to tip my head backwards and slam that spinning sidekick right into their body, which is moving towards me. Force meeting force, spinning sidekick, which is already one of the most powerful techniques, becomes that much more powerful. And a quick reminder to anybody who has not been on the channel much in the last week that we are in the middle of a giveaway. I'm going to put a link in the description below where you can head over to my website and you can get yourself entered to win this awesome Karate Combat gi and these pair of Karate Combat official fight shorts. These are not the dummied down versions. These are 100% from Karate Combat. They actually gave them to me when I was at one of the fights. My gift to you guys for the holiday season, I'm going to package these up, send them to the lucky winner. Get entered before Christmas Day to make sure you have a shot of winning these awesome pieces of gear. The next one, which I love to utilize, is catching a kick and dragging somebody into a punch. There's 2 ways that I like to do this in particular. Number 1, I catch my front kick. I hollow my stomach out and I catch the front kick with 2 hands. Once I have it here, I immediately drag it off to the side and I pull that leg down. So the person who just kicked went from here and all of a sudden they're chasing this leg. When they start chasing that leg, if you throw a hook, they're gonna fall right into it. Catch the kick, pull them down, the arm that went low, becomes the punching arm, and you just almost swing it in a very sloppy sort of style, just like this. You could take a little step at the same time if you want, but either way, they are going to be in this position where they're coming, whoa. If their hands are up and they're properly protecting their head, then you come to the body. If they really mess up and they go like this, and they put their hands down to help with their balance, then you go up to the face. Alternatively, you catch a round kick. You see the big right round kick come, you snag it. You can pull down to the side and do the same thing. So they end up going from here, they get dragged down, and you can land the hook. I prefer the front kick though. The next way to get somebody to move into a technique and really compromise themselves is to recognize when somebody's pretty good at slipping. If they're slipping and every time you go to throw shots, you're not landing, then you go, okay, you know what? I'm gonna throw this. I know they're gonna put their head to the side, which means if I come 1 to 2, they're gonna walk right in to that right high kick, or the left high kick for that matter. So you just have to recognize if somebody is gonna utilize head movement as opposed to the high guard. If they're doing the high guard, we go back to number 1, where we hit and we push them down. If they're very mobile, I just make sure that I throw my kick right after my punch. I can set things up like 1, 2, 3. This is gonna land, and it's gonna land really good for you. We have seen many fighters throw this successfully. Most recently in the UFC, guys like Justin Gaethje throwing these things up, landing on people's head. Might have to correct myself there. I can't remember if it was Gaethje who threw it or Gaethje who took it from Dustin Poirier. Either way, this really lands. You have to actually commit to it though. It can't be 1, reset, and then 2, because by that time they're off the center line and they're back. Once that head's off the center line and they start returning, they're no longer moving into it. So it's really commit to this and count 1 to 2. Very fast and fluid. The fifth and final way that I want to take you through controlling somebody is probably the most basic of all of them, but it's also so darn important. And keep in mind, there are so many other ways that we can move people into techniques. These are just 5 today because I like to keep these videos around 8 to 10 minutes. So we control somebody's head and we drag them into a knee. That one's pretty self-explanatory, so I want to give you guys a couple tips to make sure that you can actually do this correctly. Number 1, how do we get to the point where we can actually clench? Do we wait for our opponent to run towards us and end up sort of brawling until we go, oh, I have to clench? No, that's sloppy, it's ugly, and it might not be what we want to happen. We want to create the situation which is ideal for us. So if we go, this is a good moment to get to the clench, I like to take my lead leg, maybe I'll throw a front kick first, then I take my lead leg, I lift it up. As I lift my leg up, I slide on this standing leg and I shuffle forward about 6 inches, approximately. As I do that, I want to make sure I don't walk into punches, so I make sure one hand comes up the middle. So any shots that were going to come down the middle are now blocked. If they throw shots, I parry and I grab the head. If they don't throw shots, I make contact with my opponent's arms, I touch, and then I grab. Once I've done that, I can grab with the other hand, drag them in. Now I have their head. Now I can pull as I knee. Pull as I knee. As soon as you do that, somebody's going to get tipped forward, and it's very hard for them to take knees in this position because there is so much distance for my knee to travel. That is why we generally keep our hips forward when we're in the clinch, so we nullify power knees. The only additional thing that I want to point out for you is if you do get somebody in the clinch and their hips are forward and you're going, oh, I can't get the knees up because they're so close to me, that's when we utilize this little shuffle where we bring one leg towards the other, we shoot the opposite leg backwards, and now there's this extra space for me to slam that knee down the middle as I drag. This is a fantastic way to start making somebody really pay, because again, we're pulling them in to a technique which we're throwing and increasing the power because of that. So let's call it there, guys. Again, these are not all the tips you can use to move somebody into a technique, and they're not all super advanced. But if you're on the path to learning and improving your skills, that is fantastic. Take all of these, try them out. You can utilize a bag very often to try these sorts of things. Push the bag, let it swing a few times, practice, okay, I'm gonna be too jammed when it gets to here, so now I have to back up and then I have to throw my spinning kick. Or you can practice things like, okay, the bag's here, so I'm gonna practice moving to the side, I'm gonna miss, and then land the head kick. This can all be worked all by yourself in solo bag work. Thanks for joining me, guys. As always, train hard, and I will see you back here soon for another video.